So this question is about main memory. So main memory, essentially what we're talking about for main memory is RAM. So if we have a look at our diagram over here, the CPU is connected to RAM by the address bus and the data bus here. So all of the programs and data are stored in RAM before they can be executed. So this is called the stored program concept. And this architecture with a shared data and address area is called the von Neumann architecture, which you've probably heard of. So how is that going to help us answer this question? So main memory is any form of memory that is directly connected or accessible by the CPU, except for cache and registers. So cache and registers tend to be on the CPU. So the registers are definitely on the CPU. Cache is mostly on there as well. It's got a slightly different purpose. So explain how main memory is used. Well, what can we say about that? We could say that the data and instructions are stored in memory before they're executed or while they're being executed. So, let's say data for programs that are being executed is stored and fetched from RAM. Let's just be sure that we know the same as the question's main memory. So we could say each location in RAM has a unique address. And each location holds one instruction or data item. So data for programs that are being executed is stored and fetched from RAM. Each location RAM has a unique address. Each location holds one instruction or data item. So we've got the idea that it could be instructions or data that's stored in RAM. We've got the idea that we're fetching from RAM to the CPU for executing. We've talked about this idea of locations having an address. So I think we've got enough there for 3 marks. We've also thought a bit about this. You obviously don't need to draw pictures like this in the exam to answer this question, but I thought it might help to think about the connection between RAM and the CPU and what we know about that as the idea of the stored program concept, which is that a program has to be resident in main memory or in main memory before it can be executed. That is the stored program concept. So we have to put something into RAM before the CPU can directly access it and execute that. Whether that's an instruction for a program or whether it's some data that goes with the instruction. And if you remember, in the CPU, there's usually an operation code and an opcode, and the operation code tells us what to do, like adding, and the operand is usually there to tell us where the data is in memory. So it points to a memory address. So there's lots there about this question about RAM. So this explain how main memory is used. There's plenty there that we've written. There's more we could have said as well, but there's plenty there for answering of that question.